morning, everybody. Welcome to day 2 of Procurement and Supply Chain Live London 2025. I'm Claire Weller, and I'll be your host on stage 2 today. We're here with Supply Chain Digital, Procurement Magazine, and our publishers, BizClick, of course. And I'd like to first of all say thank you to our headline sponsors, GEP, Cooper, Zip, SAP, Amazon Business, and Zycus. I've got to do a bit of housekeeping before we get going this morning and just ask you, please make sure that you use the QR codes around the venue to access the show guide. We will take as many questions as possible at the end of each session, so if you just put your hand up, or if you're joining us online, then please put your questions into the chat and I will see it on my iPad and be able to ask those. There are no planned fire drills today, but the exits are here and here if we need them, if you hear an alarm. And we will do all we can to keep to time, so please, if at all possible, only move between the stages between sessions. If you have a mobile on, of course, please turn it off. So, our first keynote speaker today is Ilham Smaali, Global VP Planning and Logistics with Essity. Ilham will be talking to us about resilience and building agile planning and logistics at global scale. So please give her a very warm welcome.
Claire. Let's see if it works. Yeah, it does. Hi, everyone. The first thing we are going to do, I'm the first one speaking today, so you are going to help me. So what I would suggest is you come closer, because you can look around. There is a lot of spaces. So don't be shy and come closer. Thank you. Super. So I wanted to start with something very personal. So this weekend I was in a wedding. Everything I'm going to say in the next 20 minutes is true or almost true. Okay, so you need to follow. Okay? And it was a rainy day. Unplanned. My name is Ilham Smaali, and I'm going to talk to you on the next 25 minutes on why all what you see in this title are buzzwords for something that, as supply chain professionals, we do at best since decades. And you are going to help me to do that. Okay? So the first thing, there are no slides. So this is where you are going to help me. Do you all have a smartphone? Yes? Okay. Can you take it? Do you have on your smartphone ChatGPT or Perplexity or Claude? You do? Okay. Let's type together the following prompt. Design me a sharp presentation of 20 minutes to talk about orchestrating resilience, building agile planning and logistics at global scale. Normally, it takes a few seconds to get a response back. I know you didn't expect to work. I know. Did you do it? Everybody? Not yet? You need to type faster. Yeah? We are all there? Those who have a payment, like, you know, you pay a fee, you will get faster answer. So this is the trick of each one of them. If you don't pay a fee and you get just the free one, it gets a little bit slower. But you should get something, right? Yeah? You type exactly this one. Build me a sharp presentation for 20 minutes on the topic called Orchestrating Resilience, with a subtitle. Who has already an answer? You have? You have? You have? Okay. Those who have already an answer, type the following prompt. Can Ilham Smaali and her audience do it better than what you just said? They are thinking, why did I enter this room this morning? If I trained it well, you should get an absolute yes. We can do it better. They are doing this exercise very seriously, Claire. You can look at them. I love it. Yeah? What did you get as an answer for the second prompt?
Yes.
You get a yes?
Yeah.
Okay, so we can make it happen. And we are not AI. Okay, that's good. Shall we trust with his yes? Yes? I will need to hear you guys.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
I'm the first one, so my job is to make you awake for the rest of the day, so that the other speaker will thank me at the end of the day. Why I did this exercise? Because I truly believe that in today's reality, whatever is a theory, it's nice theory, but the reality is most of the time slightly different. I had the chance to work in many different companies, some of the big names. I worked for a decade at Procter & Gamble, always in supply chain for the last 2 decades. And I can tell you, behind the very polished slide, the beautiful presentation, the great demonstration, the reality is always tougher. When we say resilience, it's just another way to say how do we manage the unpredictability of our world. And today we live in a world where everything is unpredictable. We like it or not, it's reality. A few years back it was COVID. Last 2 years are wars, humanitarian crisis, Red Sea blockage, tariffs, as an example. And we are receiving a lot of information that are not necessarily going on the same direction. So every company is trying to do the same as they were trying to do many years and for many decades. How do we continue to deliver, to produce, to supply the products to our consumers, our customers, no matter what? And this is tough to do. So what I'm going to do in the next 20 minutes is not to lecture you into how to use AI, into what are the beautiful tools out there, into how Essity is doing it better than any other company, because I don't think it's true. I think each company is trying to do its best. But what I'm going to try to share with you, and of course it's going to be an interactive session, is how do we learn to ensure that we do our best for our consumer, our customers. And what are few of the fundamentals or learning I gathered during my career that helped me, my organization, my company, to be present whenever it's needed by our consumers and our customers. Who knows what is Essity? Anybody? Do you know the Tena brand? Kushel in UK. Who knows Kushel? No? Okay, interesting. Torque, when you go to airports and hospitals? No. So Essity is a hygiene and health company. Every day, we supply tissue, personal care, and health and medical devices, for more than 1 billion consumers over the world. It is a Swedish company with a headquarters in Sweden, but has a footprint across the globe. It's not a very known company, but the brands are more known. To some, not to you guys, but to some. And what do we do? What is our mission? Is to break barriers to well-being. What does it mean? It means for as many people as possible, we want our product to be accessible. For that, it does mean that when there are disruptions, we try our best to make product available. During COVID, we kept our factory running. During the current situation, we kept supplying some of the places in the world that are the most difficult to access. And to do that, there are really 5 things that are fundamental. Number 1 is getting access and visibility, knowledge. Number 2 is moving from a culture of we plan for one number, we plan for one forecast, to we are creating a scenario planning culture. Number 3, we simplify, we simplify, we simplify. And I'll come back to each one of them in a minute. Number 4 is about affordable redundancy. Those that work in supply chain, you know that it's not such a thing as I can reach 100% service level, because we can't afford it. And when I say we can't afford it, it's not just the company, the stakeholders, it's also the consumers and customers. Consumers and customers want to have great product with great value, produced in an ethical way, every single day they need them. So our job is to give them that, which does mean anything we do has to be affordable. And last but not least, and it's the most critical thing, and this is also the reason I made you do this little exercise, is about getting capable and agile workforce. Everybody can have access to beautiful slides, done much better than me by a lot of tools today, right? But they are not those that make the product available every single day. And this is our job. So what I'll be doing now is I'm going to go back to each one of these 5 elements that, again, based on my experience, it's not the truth. It's just based on my experience, based on the learning, based on what I apply every single day, makes a difference when we talk about resilience. And makes a difference when we talk about planning and logistics, that are 2 functions that are the core of resilience for any supply chain, any ecosystem. Do you remember what was the number 1? I don't have slides, I don't have notes. You need to help me. What was the number 1? Knowledge, access and visibility, right? What do I mean by that? Let's take an example. How many of you were working in supply chain, name it procurement, supply chain, manufacturing, whatever, during the tariff situation last year? Let's take a recent example, just to ensure that everybody raise their hand. Where are you working? You don't work in supply chain? You are in comms. Okay, that's very good. Communication. How many emails did you receive daily to talk about tariffs, or to talk about Red Sea blockage, or to talk about Ukraine war, or anything else? A lot? None? Yeah? A lot. I have received many, many emails on a daily basis. Some of them were contradicting each other. Okay, in the tariff situation, it was a bit easy because our friends were changing mind every single day or every single hour. But it was extremely complex to follow. And if you don't know, if you don't have access to knowledge, you can't make decision. If you have to cascade the knowledge and it takes even hours to reach the right people that can act, you can't be effective. So what we did is we reversed the equation. Instead of pushing the information, we decided to pull the users to where the information is available in real time. So one of the examples that I wanted to share today is something that actually the procurement team did in Essity. They created a 24/7 heat map for any single disruption that can impact our supply base. But they were not pushing this information. It was accessible real time to everyone. It made a huge difference. So instead of having a chain of communication, it was rather people instantaneously having access to the same type of data. Not internally only, but also to our ecosystem. This is an example of access. The more we are able to not having the information as something super precious that is kept secretly, and that those that own it and get access to it have a power, but something that we share in the entire end-to-end, the more effective we are. Do you agree? Yes? Okay. You can disagree and say it, but then you come on stage. So, what was number 2?
Culture of scenario planning.
Very good. Culture of scenario planning. Why does it matter? When I started in my career, so I started as a process engineer in Procter & Gamble, and then I moved to planning. So imagine me being in manufacturing, and then I moved to the world of commercial, as I was leading the SNOP in France for Fabric and Home Care, Procter & Gamble. And every month I was starting my meeting with my general manager, so the GM of P&G for France, by saying, the number I'm going to present to you is wrong, but I'm going to try to make it as unbiased as possible. And we had a lot of risk and ops, risk and opportunities that we were spending 5 minutes on. And obviously the number was wrong. And we were managing the ups and downs in a very reactive way. Today, if we try to do that, it costs a fortune. Just because we know the number is going to be wrong. So instead of focusing into the number, why not focusing into the possibilities? What can happen? And why not changing the equation again of the conversation from we talk about a wrong number that is wrong, and we try to convince ourselves that is as accurate as possible. And we start talking about what can happen. And start creating not just risk and opportunity and trying to balance them, but ensuring that we focus into the likelihood scenarios and getting ready for it. Because again, our consumers and customers, they expect us to have their product available. They can't care less about what you talk to your GM or what I was talking to my GM. They want their product available and they want to pay the right price for it. They don't want to pay for the inefficiencies of our supply chains. And this is super critical in a world where actually inflation is crazy, people have a lot to deal with in our day-to-day basis. So in a company like Essity, where it is about tissue, it's about diapers, it's about hygiene product for women, we need to ensure our products are available at the right value equation. And this is what we try to do. So now what we are doing as a company is we really look at what are the scenario planning, what are the likelihood scenarios, and we get ready. So if anything happens, it is instantaneously executed. It's not the moment where we go in a war crisis room and we start talking about what can we do. And everyone start calling and everyone start coming with, this is the best smart idea, and we are rewarding a culture of superhero. We need to reward a culture of proactivity, anticipation, as much as possible, because like I said, nothing is perfect. No one can claim that they were achieving 98.5 service level day in, day out in the distribution world. I don't think so. At least I have not seen it in many of the companies I worked for or I advised. So this is what we call scenario planning. And there are tools to help us. One of the tools we just deployed in Essity is SAP IBP, and I think some of you should be familiar. You can talk about SAP IBP, you can talk about O9, you can talk about many others, right? It does not really matter. The tool doesn't really matter because it's just a way to make it simpler for the organization. But we need to recognize that Excel can't deal with the complexity we have today. In the case of Essity, we talk about close to 50 sites across the globe, 200 distribution centers, owned distribution centers. We talk about more than 70,000 SKU combination and sales combination. And we talk about hundreds of external suppliers. So Excel can be fantastic, but it won't be able to give you scenario planning at the right level. So better have best tools available to do that. For us, it was SAP IBP, as I mentioned. What was number 3? What was number 3? I'm going to scare him. No, I'm kidding. You were not there before. What was number 3? Simplify. Simplify, simplify. This is a crucial number 3. I think the time is over where we create very sophisticated network that collapse the minute a disruption happens. It does not work anymore like that. And again, think about how the small companies are successful in the FMCG world. Because they offer to the consumers some products that are differentiated, but they don't pay for something that is completely crazy that has been internally built. So simplification is absolutely key. We need to simplify our networks, we need to simplify the way we operate, and we need to simplify the way we invest. What does it mean? Let's be practical. If you think about planning and the way we used to do planning, when I started after school, I would say, planning was everywhere. Everybody was planner, right? You were planning in a factory, you were planning in a headquarters, you were planning together with your suppliers, you were planning if you were doing innovation everywhere. There was a movement of let's centralize. And I'm a strong believer of centralization, not as a productivity tool, but as a simplification tool. Because when we are centralizing, and I'm going to give you a practical example, we did centralize all the transportation planning activities, and bear in mind, we are having more than 3,000 trucks that are shipped every day in our network in Europe, and we centralized all the transportation planning with internal capabilities in a beautiful city, Barcelona. By doing that, we have achieved 95% of touchless planning. So 95% of all the transactions for transportation planning are touchless. And the team can all focus into the 5% exception. Strikes in France, snow in France, and so on and so forth. I'm taking France example because I live in France, not because I have something against France. and this has been a huge simplification. Because we were not training anymore or deploying solutions for all the ship from points we had. We have very limited number of people, internally developed, super strong capability, and they help this company to fly in transportation planning. This is a massive simplification. And we have the same in the US, in Appleton. Same technology, same capabilities, 95% real touchless transportation planning. The second way to think about simplification is, again, where do you invest into your people capability? That will bring me to the last one. Instead of going and trying to train people everywhere around the globe, be specific into what capabilities are needed where. This makes a huge difference. There is something that is called transformation fatigue. Have you heard about it? Yeah? This is what we live every day, because we are bombarded by changes. And our organizations are bombarded by changes. So what we call really transformation fatigue is at a certain point in time, we don't take the curve of we can internalize the change, make it really to the bottom line benefit before we go to the next one. So if you don't simplify, what is happening is you never reach the bottom line expected benefit. So you invested time, resources, money, and it's an incremental maybe benefit, but never to the level it was promised to you. It happens all the time with digitization. And I will encourage you to think about it when you go back to your respective organization. How much benefit do you truly get from any digitization if you can't read it in the P&L, in the bottom line? This comes because we try to do a lot of transformation in many different places without having the simplification mindset. Where does it matter? Where do I want to invest? In new technology, in capabilities, you name it. We have decided in Essity to invest in two places, our hubs. And this is where we create innovation, but this is where we do transportation planning I just talked about, where we just centralize supply planning with exactly the same logic. It's not about productivity. It's about the ability to plan with excellence with a minimum complexity in the setup. And we did it for demand planning, where we developed internally machine learning, statistics. I'm going to bear you all these words that you heard many, many times to be able to make it easier for people to forecast and focus on the scenario planning, as I was mentioning just before. Does it make sense? Are you still with me? Yeah? Very good. You just came, so you must be with me still. Excellent. What is the number 4? And I need to accelerate. Number 4, affordable redundancy. What it means? It means that we need to ensure that when something breaks, I work now in tissue business. One of the typical things that can happen in tissue is fires. You can all understand why, right? So when you get a fire with what we call paper, like the paper, you know what is paper, that is used for the tissue, then it's a big drama. because it's always big quantities. So redundancy, affordable redundancy is a key. My belief is you can't have an affordable redundancy if you try to own your entire network. Because by nature, you will have to carry a certain level of cost regardless of the volatility of your demand. So by design, it's not affordable. So in my experience, having the healthy balance between owned asset, what do you call your really bread and butter, between rented and operated, and the third one, fully outsourced, is the key to affordable redundancy. And you need to be super clear. What are your strategic partners? In Essity, for example, we have built a strategic partnership with SAPI that works also in the tissue arena, and we buy product together. Now we are exploring how we can use our capability that I was mentioning just before in terms of planning. Instead of themselves investing into planning capability, how can we share it? This is where we are today. And this is super important because, again, consumers and customers want to pay the right cost. Let me finish, because I know we are running out of time and I don't want to disappoint Claire, with the most important thing, our people. We need to have capable people, agile people. We need to attract them, we need to develop them, we need to give them really some inspirational career that they stay with us. This is not granted, this is not easy, but any company that does not do that will fail. Maybe not in the short term, but they will fail. Because each one of us as a leader, we need to ensure that we spend our time to try to find who is going to be our boss. This is our job, because this is the way you keep a sustainable company. I've read so many articles about how AI is going to destroy jobs. Right? Internet was about to destroy jobs. Industrial technology was about to destroy jobs. It's never going to happen. Jobs are transformed. They are changing. Our role, if we want to, again, come back to this resilience piece, is we have the right people, and we don't have just one or two. We have enough strong and good people that can take over when things happen, and things happen every single day. Right? So, and this is super key. So for me, and I will conclude there, if we want to really think about planning and logistics in the world of resilience, is really about these 5 things. Knowledge, together with access. Number 2. Remember number 2? Culture of scenario planning. Number 3. Simplify, simplify, simplify. Number 4. Affordable redundancy. And number 5, that is the one I want to leave you with it, is to ensure that we are investing in our talents. And we are helping them to stay relevant, no matter what is the technology that is coming in our way. And for the story, this wedding was a beautiful and memorable day, and it was my sister's wedding. So this part was true. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ilham. That was a great, you really got us all on our toes for the first presentation this morning. We've got time for one question. Anyone got any questions they'd like to ask? No, okay. I have a very quick question because I know we're up against it time-wise, but you talked about responding very quickly when there are difficult times. How do you balance that resilience with cost?
This is back to what I said. I think responding quickly is to get ready before the crisis comes. So it's about not just being confronted to an unplanned and all of a sudden trying to build the plan. You know, so anything that is done in anticipation will help you, even if what happens is slightly different. As an example, we had all of this conversation around Red Sea blockage. But if, as part of your supply base, you had built redundancy, you didn't have all your suppliers located in an area where they need to go through Red Sea, as an example, this will help you to activate them. So the best way to manage cost is to anticipate and ensure that it is backed by design in the way we operate.
Thank you very much indeed. I should be standing up here, shouldn't I? So thank you all for coming and attending Ilham's speech, which was very great, as you could tell from the round of applause. We'll be back very, very shortly with the Global Logistics and Supply Chain Forum, so do join us for that if you can. But thank you very much again.
Thank you, Claire. Thank you, everyone.